What a week! The president leaving the hospital on Monday, we had misleading statements from the next stimulus package, AMD in talks to acquire XILINX, Square investing in Bitcoin, cruise line industry officials meeting with Vice President Mike Pence, Apple next week's event. So today I will talk about all that and more, so please smash that like button and subscribe since it really helps my channel out. But first, remember that I have a completely free Discord group chat, which the link for that is down in the description below. After a very volatile September, October has started with a very nice run-up. This was a very strange week, but overall it ended excellent. The S&P 500 ended up by more than 3%, the Dow Jones 2.74%, and the Nasdaq only 0.70% return. It was the best week in 3 months, even with the volatility due to the different news, which I will explain later on the video. This week started a little bit off with the president coming out of the hospital after getting virus. Then investors waiting to see if we get a deal for the stimulus package, which should happen before elections. The thing is that on Tuesday, the president tweeted that Pelosi was not negotiating in good faith and that he instructed his representative to stop negotiation until after elections, which made stocks to turn lower on Tuesday. And then later on that same day, Trump called for some virus relief measures after shutting down stimulus talks. According to Jerome Powell, we need more stimulus ASAP to help with the economic recovery, which still has a long way to go, and also because recent economic data have shown that the pace of the recovery is slowing. Also, monthly job gains and job postings have slowed down even more since more layoffs are becoming permanent. All this has led to smaller gains in consumer spending, meaning that the Fed is right and we need a good stimulus package to help businesses and give more stimulus checks, mainly because that will increase the consumer spending, helping companies and the economic recovery at the same time. It is also important for us to get a second stimulus package because of this. The northeastern United States, devastated by the virus in the spring and then held up as a model of infection control by summer, is now seeing the first inklings of what might become a second wave. The rise in case numbers have prompted state and local officials to reverse course, tightening restrictions on businesses, schools, and outdoor spaces. If we really see a second wave, more businesses will shut down and layoffs will become permanent, which means that the unemployment rate could increase from one day to another, making Americans struggle even more. Now, AMD is in advanced talks to buy XILINX. XILINX is a semiconductor company that is building an adaptable, intelligent world. They deliver the most dynamic processing technology in the industry, enabling rapid innovation with its adaptable intelligent computing. Their products are used in the communication industry, artificial intelligence, automotive industry, industrial, and more. Because of those news, the XILINX stock went up more than 15%. It is currently trading at a price of $120.94 and has a valuation of $29.5 billion. Apparently, this deal could come together this next week. This deal will make AMD compete even more with Intel, since both Intel and XILINX are the main players in the FPGA market. Then, Square buys $50 million in Bitcoin, which represents 1% of Square total assets. Square believes that cryptocurrency is an instrument of economic empowerment and provides a way for the world to participate in a global monetary system, which aligns with the company's purposes. So, as their chief financial officer said, Square decided to do this because they want to be part of Bitcoin's adoption, and even more since they are a company that are building products based on innovating the future of the banking industry. As many of you may know, Square owns an app called Cash App, which lets you buy Bitcoin, meaning that they have been involved in the cryptocurrency world for years now. In 2018, their CEO said that eventually cryptocurrency will become the world's single currency, and I would assume those thoughts are what have made them invest even more in Bitcoin right now. Now, many of you already know that I started investing in Bitcoin in early 2017 when it was around $1,800 and already sold everything, but wanted to know what you guys think about this. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about cryptocurrencies. Have you ever invested in Bitcoin? Now, cruise line stocks had a nice week after the White House announced that Vice President Mike Pence was going to meet with industry officials to talk about how the industry will be able to restart sailing with certain recommendations. Last month, Royal Caribbean and Norwegian released 74 recommendations to the CDC to be able to sail safely even with the virus. The no sailing order is until October 31st, according to the CDC, and cruise companies are very optimistic on being able to sail again here in the US before the year ends. And I say here in the US because companies like Carnival are already cruising in Europe and part of Asia. They currently have 3 ships cruising with extended protocols to prevent the virus spread. Carnival CEO said in an interview with CNBC that they have had few positive cases, but that they were able to take control of the situation really fast and not allow the virus to spread even more. Take into consideration that the cruising industry is the only travel industry that did not get any stimulus package as airlines did here in the US, since cruises companies are not American companies, even though cruises companies have an important role in the US economy. But obviously, we all know that cruises are not enrolled as American companies to avoid taxes. Now, cruise lines support a lot of businesses that employ hundreds of thousands of people and contribute billions of dollars to the economy. According to the CLIA report, the cruise industry's direct expenses in the United States amounted to about $23.9 billion, resulting in an estimate of 175,000 to 326 direct jobs throughout the US economy, paying $8.32 billion in wages and salaries in 2018, including in these direct expenses are purchases of a variety of goods and services, including food and beverages, fuel, insurance, and business services, among others. Even though the 3 biggest companies, Norwegian, Carnival, and Royal Caribbean, have been able to raise capital to be able to sustain and have enough cash to sustain for about 10 to 12 months, I do expect them to start cruising once again before the year ends. According to the companies, the bookings for 2021 are increasing even more. They do not expect 2021 to be a record year, but at least way better than 2020, obviously. Also, Alibaba stock hits record high. Investors are confident that the pandemic has accelerated China's e-commerce. This last rally converted Alibaba into one of the most valuable technology companies after Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, and Alphabet. Alibaba is an excellent growth company that still has way more room to continue with the trend, even more right now with the acceleration of e-commerce. We all have seen how e-commerce or online sales have increased for different companies in different sectors, such as with Costco, Nike, and more. Obviously, Alibaba, the king of e-commerce in China, was not left behind. Now, next week we have Apple event. We are going to finally see the new iPhone 12 with 5G. Speculators are saying that they will bring a new iPhone to the lineup called iPhone 12 mini, which will be cheaper version of the new iPhone. Then we will have iPhone 12 and lastly 2 sizes of the iPhone 12 Pro. I would assume that they are coming out with the iPhone 12 mini since they saw how excellent the iPhone SE went since it was really cheap. According to speculators, the iPhone 12 mini will start at a price of $699 and will have a lot of the same features as the iPhone Pro. If this is true, then I would expect Apple revenue to grow a lot next quarter as it did last quarter, even more right now that it's the 4th quarter because of the holidays are coming up and normally it is the best quarter for many companies. Last week we had Domino's, Levi's, and Paychex reporting earnings. Domino's quarterly sales surged, but pandemic costs hit earnings. Domino's reported a revenue growth of 17.9% since it reported a revenue of $968 million, beating analyst expectations. But earnings missed expectations since they reported earnings of $2.49 per share, where analysts were expecting $2.79 per share. Even though they had an excellent growth in revenue, their costs also grew a lot. Higher wages for frontline workers, protective equipment, and enhanced sick pay cost the company an estimate of $11 million. Now, next week we have huge companies reporting earnings. We have almost all the banks: JP Morgan, Citigroup, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs, Ally Bank, and more. We also have Delta Airlines, Johnson & Johnson, and Afria Inc. Before talking about next week earnings, remember to claim your 2 free stocks with Webull after signing up and depositing $100. The link for that is the first one in the description below. Now, bank earnings will give us an overview of how the economy is doing. We are going to see how they have been doing even with such low interest rates, and also if their loan reserves tied to the virus have increased or not. The loan reserves is money that banks set aside to cover possible losses from people that do not pay their loans because of the pandemic. This money is reflected in their income statement as an expense. I do expect that number to increase because even though we have seen a good economic recovery, I think that we still have a very fragile economy, even more right now with layoffs that are becoming permanent. We saw in the second quarter that JP Morgan, Citigroup, and Wells Fargo collectively setting aside $28 billion in loan provisions to cover losses in anticipation. Analysts are expecting net interest income being pressured by the low interest rate environment. Now, Delta Airlines will give us an overview of how airlines industry is doing since Delta is the largest airline here in the US. Analysts are expecting Delta to post a revenue decrease of 75.30% for the quarter and 62.80% for the year, but already a nice growth of 66.30% for 2021, which would take Delta almost back to their normal levels. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please smash that like button and subscribe since it really helps my channel out. Thank you and see you next time.